I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with State Senator Jimmy Higdon. And as we all know, coming up on Tuesday, November 4th, will be Election Day, our general election.
Really? It'd be hard not to know this time, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And we want to make sure that people get out and vote, because
absolutely,
that's how it's all decided, is by the people out there actually voting.
It's so important, Gary. Voting is so important, and a lot of people have given their lives to, for us to have that right to go out and vote on November the 4th, and it's just so important. And I'll talk a little bit about our, my school visits that I make, and I talk to them about our form of government and how there's two things we have to do to make sure our form of government works. Number one, we have to vote. We have to make sure we elect good people to represent us. And the second thing we have to do to make sure our form of government works is to participate in the process. And, our constituents here in Central Kentucky do a great job of participating in the process, and I'm proud of them for that. But today we want to talk about voting. And,
that's right.
And we definitely can improve on that. You see those numbers, in the primaries, the numbers in the 20s and 30% of people who actually participate in those. In this general election coming up, usually 50 and 60% of the people actually show up to vote. So it is important that we vote. And so today we wanted to talk about, and I had my column in the local papers, the Lebanon Enterprise, the Kentucky Standard this week, talk about absentee voting and the process. And there's two ways you can vote absentee. One is very popular. If you're going to be out of town on November the 4th, and you can't be at the post, so if you work out of town, if you have a doctor's appointment scheduled, if you're pregnant and you're in the last trimester of your pregnancy, just a lot of, if you're not going to be, if you physically can't get to the polls on election day, you can go into the county clerks and the counties that you cover. The absentee machine is set up, ready to go, and you can, and during normal hours, you can go in and tell the county clerk or the whoever waits on it that you'd like to vote, and you go back and they have a machine set up, and you can physically go ahead and vote. And you can do that all the way up until the Monday before the election, November the 3rd. All that day you can vote on that absentee machine. Don't have to call for an appointment. You don't have to do anything. You just have to show up at the clerk's office.
Do you have to verify that you won't be in town?
You have to raise your hand and swear that you will be out of town. So it's a pretty heavy burden on you. If you're laying in, if you don't go out of town on election day, you swore that you would be out of town. But things change sometimes. But maybe you were planning on being out of town and you couldn't. But I don't know what you do. You're supposed to be out of town, and you're going to swear. You're going to raise your hand and swear that you're going to be out of town. So, but it's a very good process. And here in Marion County, they do have Saturday hours. So a college student or somebody who works out of town during the week can go to the county clerk's office up until 10 minutes till 12 on Saturday morning and vote absentee. It's a very good way of voting, especially those who will not be in town on election day or work a job that they simply can't get away and for some particular reason. So I'd encourage all your viewers to consider that if they're going to be unable to vote on election day. The other absentee ballot, which is the preferred way of voting for a lot of senior citizens and a lot of college students and military, is absentee by actual absentee ballot. Now, if military personnel can get their if they're overseas, can get their absentee ballots electronically. That's only available to overseas military personnel. Now, for us, for anybody else that requests an absentee ballot, they simply call their county clerk's office, either in Marion, Washington, or Nelson County. Call the county clerk and request an application. And they will mail the application to the person who's requesting the ballot. fill out the application, send it back to the clerk's office, and the clerk's office will mail the ballot. And so it's a two-part, two things you have to mail back. And so when you get the ballot, after you've filed the application, you get the ballot, you vote, and you mail it back to the clerk's office. And the clerk has to have that by the time the polls close on election day. So it doesn't matter when you mail it, as long as it's now. Once the polls close, an absentee ballot is void. And they have to receive it by U.S. mail.
Okay.
So that's another way, a good way. And every election there's a considerable amount of absentee ballots filed, and it's a good way to vote if you can't get out and be at the polls that day, if you're handicapped or elderly and don't want to get out. College students away from home, even those who work away from home, it's still absentee ballot is a very good way to
Exercise
vote
your right.
and exercise your right. So that's why I'm here today, Gary. I'm not here to persuade anybody to vote any certain way. I'm here to encourage everybody to go vote. It is very important that for our form of government to work, people have to vote. And they need to do their homework, make sure that, because you're actually hiring somebody to work for you, Gary.
Right.
I work for you and all the constituents out there that we reach via this telecast, and I work for them, and so they hire and fire elected officials just like a company would hire and fire somebody. If you had an employee that's not doing a good job, you can, unfortunately, sometimes that happens. People get fired. But just study and vote for that person that you think will do the best job for you. Because again, elected officials work for you.